Cosplay Stitch and Seam. I'm super giggly because my guests today are ridiculous.
Hey!
I love them. Okay, so welcome to Cosplay Stitch and Seam. I get the normal stuff out of the way that usually Pannon has a nice list for me, but we're recording without her today due to scheduling conflicts, so it's me and guests! Yay! I'm B-Fire, by the way, if you didn't figure that out. If you want to send us your cosplay horror stories, or happy stories, or topic suggestions, or things like that, have questions and whatnot, you can email us at cosplaystitchandseam@gmail.com, or you can go to the website, where there is normally a form. As of recording this podcast, it was broken. Hopefully I have a fixed one up by soon. By the time this is out.
Soon! Real specific.
Yes. I have no idea when this episode is airing, so hopefully this will air and you'll be like, oh, look at that beautiful new form. Okay. Otherwise, you can just email us, which works out great. But cosplaystitchandseam.com for the form, and also blog and fun stuff and pictures and things like that. Also, you can donate to the podcast if you want to help, like, pay for stuff and, like, be like, oh, hey, I like them, I'm gonna throw some money at them. I'll be like, oh, how nice, I love you guys.
Specifically in that voice, too.
Okay.
Personalized message. She will send you a personalized message in that voice.
Oh my.
We're promising a lot of things Mercedes might not be able to do.
But that's not our problem, is it?
That's true, that's not on us.
I have heckler guests.
Also, we could just leave it as a mystery. It could be and guests, and then no one knows who it is. It's just, do you know these voices? Guess.
I was going to say, here's a hint. Some of us have been on this before.
All of you have.
All of us.
Anyways, so ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com/coffee, spelled the normal coffee way, 4, cosplayseams.com. That's where you can go and donate and help support the podcast. Yay! Otherwise, we appreciate the word of mouth and the sharing that's been going on Facebook and Instagram. Like, you guys are amazing. We love you all. You're awesome. Right. So, today's topic is going to be on surviving conventions, or convention survival. And our guest today... Alright, guys.
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery.
Yes, no!
You're talking to yourself. Like, literally, like a manifestation of the voices.
Let's
I
do
already
this
did.
dating game style.
Yeah.
Describe yourself first. Be like, this person does this and this and this and this. And then announce the name.
I was going to say, and then Mercedes could guess, but she drove us here, so...
I'm literally looking at you guys.
Yes, who am I?
Oh.
Let's do it.
All
Let's
right.
do it that way.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it. Who wants to
Oh,
start?
I didn't come prepared with 3 facts about myself.
2 truths and a lie.
2 truths and a lie. You guys gonna say you guys have to guess the lie, but one of you shares an office with me and sees me like 98% of my life, so no one can guess.
Let's do it. Let's do
All right,
it.
who's going first?
I'll go first, I guess. 'Cause
You are ready. Go for it.
I'm not ready, but I will do it. So I have been cosplaying for over 10 years. I've been saying that for 5 years, so I feel like it's 15 years now.
It's definitely more than 10, though, is what you're saying.
Definitely more than 10.
Cool.
Less than 20.
Got it. Less than 20.
So that's how long I've been cosplaying. It's another hint about myself. I've been on this before, talking about body positivity, which
now
was
you
a
just gave it away.
fantastic episode.
Also, these are very generic. I feel like we need to, like, more like specific to you. I was going to say your name, specific to your name, but that would ruin it.
Well, now I'm thinking...
I'm sorry, I made it worse.
Well, now I don't know what to do.
Okay, start over.
I am not editing this.
I was not
Podcast is
prepared
just like,
for
who are these
suggestions.
people? I was not prepared.
Get us all in one place and nothing happens. Or everything happens.
That's
That's
true.
that's another fact about all of us right
Yes.
now.
All of us.
Yes. Okay, so let's see. What did I say? Cosplaying for 15 years-ish.
Estimated.
I've been on this podcast before, but we all have. I like talking about body positivity and cosplay. I've done that twice. Once for a podcast, once for a panel. It was fun.
Mhm.
I have an unhealthy obsession with Vocaloid.
Accurate.
Incredibly accurate.
It. You know what? I can quit whenever I want.
Can you?
I have a useless degree in anthropology, so that's fun. And I bring all of those skills together to be Turtle Bunny's cosplay.
With those powers combined.
With those powers combined, I am who you see here. I am a local cosplayer, and I love our community here. I love this podcast and the fact that it's given us, a place to talk about a lot of really cool things. So I'm back because I was so happy to be asked back.
Heck yeah.
To have some more conversations that are totally linear and easy to listen to. So I started that off. There we go. That was my introduction. I am Bachelor number 1.
At the end of this, Mercedes has to pick a bachelor.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I love how we're not bachelorettes.
Oh, but that doesn't work. I'm the only single one at this table.
I mean, but Kimi and I are married to each other, and we've agreed.
Wow. You just revealed.
I am so upset right now. Divorce.
Divorce.
And my wife, Unroyalty Cosplay, is joining us.
I mean, he could edit that. Barkovic's literally spilled all the beans.
He wasn't editing it. And it's a lot funnier this way. Sorry,
true.
microphone. It's a lot funnier this way.
Every bean. They're all on the table. You spilled them all.
If you could see the look that Kimi was giving me right now.
No.
Murder.
I love how we just keep saying the name, so it's really pounded in case anyone missed it.
You're about to catch these hands.
No.
Wow.
In holy matrimony. We are off task.
We sure are.
Back on the subject.
Introduce
All right,
yourself.
well, I feel like you should get some facts still.
Okay, so
Now it's 2 truths and a lie, maybe, because now we know who it is.
Okay, so 2 truths and a lie. My work week is anywhere from 30 to 70 hours.
That doesn't work because I'm here.
No, it's 2 truths and a lie.
But they get it. But who's guessing the lies?
Oh, who is guessing the lies?
I mean,
I didn't guess the
Mercedes can
lies.
guess.
It's been a while.
Okay.
Okay.
So my work week ranges from 30 to 70 hours.
I know that one's the truth because I did work there.
Well then.
You need better lies.
I am really bad at thinking on the fly.
Yes,
That is also true.
So now where's the
So
lie?
where's the lie?
Where is the
Where
lie?
is the lie? This is a mess so far.
I had a weird moment. I looked at our phones and I was like, "Oh, they're both on the same time." Of course they are. They're both accurate. And
Wow.
Sorry, that was irrelevant. Go ahead. What's your last fact?
Okay, we're going to do 3 truths and a lie.
Okay,
Alright.
3
Okay.
truths and a lie.
3 truths and a lie
Cool.
because I messed this up.
Cool.
Okay, so you're going to do the next 2.
Yes.
We're not going to respond.
That's true. Okay, silence. Okay.
Look
okay.
at you guys.
Okay, we're
let's
not
do it.
looking at each
Okay,
other.
let you speak. Okay.
Damian Wayne is my favorite Robin. And
You need one more.
I don't know. I need one more.
And you have nothing else?
I have nothing else. That's all there is to me, folks.
I got a feeling that's a lie because Melissa just leaned back
did.
when you said that.
That is not her favorite
so
Robin.
smoothly. I was just like, I don't even know any other Robins, and I know that's not true.
Okay,
Kimi's a terrible liar.
I'm really bad at this. I'm an awful liar. Tim Drake's
Oh, yeah,
my favorite
that's your
Robin.
last truth. There you go. You're a bad liar.
I'm a bad liar. So this was 4 truths and no lies.
4 truths and no lies.
Okay.
So that was super helpful.
Hi, I'm Unroyalty Cosplay.
You can give a little sincere spiel like I did if you
Oh
want.
my goodness.
I have been cosplaying for about 10 years now. And I am a cosplay photographer in the off time.
Oh, I do that too.
We do it
that
together.
With your powers combined.
Yeah. I dream about pattern pieces, unfortunately.
That is true.
Like I dream about cosplay. I'm a textile worker. Like
That's her way of saying she's a seamstress and designer.
that's the thing. No, I prefer sewing to prop making. I really enjoy prop making. I'm just not very good at it.
Another truth to Kimi. She undersells herself.
She does.
Accurate.
Absolutely
thanks.
does.
Oh, thanks.
She says she hates prop making, but she made these incredible shoulders. So
Those
I was
arms.
born with it.
I love that shoulders is the thing.
Do
That
you
just-
mean pauldrons?
you made these incredible shoulders.
no, you made spikes. You made spiky shoulders. Anyway, we are really bad.
Okay,
We need
let's get to our
so-
last guest.
We were a lot better last time.
I'm so
I
sorry.
think it's because we were scared.
That might also just because we're just real giggly
Yeah.
right now. Could be that.
Now,
Very, very possible.
Yeah.
who is Bachelor number 3?
It's a mystery. Okay, so I should have been thinking of my things, but I was too busy laughing at my friends. I say at, I mean with.
Subjective.
So I have been cosplaying for 11 years. I feel like it's 11. 11 years. Well, I guess it'll be 12. It'll be 12 in September. So we're getting there. I have represented the United States in international competitions 3 times. And I love Zelda more than some people love their families. Who am I? And I guess with all those things together, I am Garnet Runestar. Woo! I share an office with Kimi where we both make patterns and cry a lot over fabric. And I know all these nerds at the table because we're all nerds.
We are. And we do it together.
Known each other for 11 years now, I think.
Jeez.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I don't remember getting older. How did they?
I know. I met V-Fire in a bathroom, and it still
awesome.
seems like she's still that girl in the bathroom.
Oh. All right, so I have to pick one now.
Mm-hmm. Who do you pick?
Yeah, who's your favorite bachelor?
Who's the most charming bachelor?
Oh.
Who do you think would take you on the best, most organized, linear date where
Linear?
conversation would not wander?
Are you
I
None of
meant
us.
literally, that like none of us.
David raises his hand. David wins.
I would just like to casually remind you that I come with a dragon horde's worth of fabric.
This is true.
I have
You
a
also
kitten.
have all the Zelda things. Oh, you've got a kitten.
have a kitten,
I
yes.
have every Zelda thing. Every Zelda thing. I'm trying to think of what else
we
I have.
a large
Ooh,
D&D table.
I just got a foam wire cutter, a hot knife.
She did.
She
She
did.
It's
Okay,
real.
so
It's a
that's really
table,
cool.
and it's a wire, and it heats up, and it just slices through foam.
Okay, Melissa, I'm coming over.
Sweet.
I mean,
Does that mean
Bachelorette number 3!
the only single person at the table wins?
Yes.
which is funny.
It is funny and a little sad. That's cool.
Bachelorette has been accurately identified.
How can you tell?
Anyways.
Now that we're so far
Oh,
into this
gosh.
podcast.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Goodness.
We were so good last
There's
time.
no
What
actual.
happened?
Let's have some actual content,
need-
shall we? The problem is I don't talk to anyone but Kimi, who lives in my office with me, and so I don't talk to people. So when I'm allowed to talk to people, I talk too much to people.
Oh,
That's the actual problem.
you're good. You're good. That's what the podcast is for. Is we're talking.
To-
We get to talk to all the people listening to us, hopefully.
So you're like,
Hopefully.
you're
Haven't
getting
turned it
this
off.
like talking to people
Hopefully.
thing in like
Hopefully.
to the
I
extreme.
mean, I guess if you watch
I'm
this
elbowing my
podcast and you realize that I am a sad, lonely human who just lives in my apartment alone, you can come to my Facebook or my Instagram and just send me an unfortunate sorry, buddy, you're alone.
That's the button.
Sorry, buddy.
Just like
It's
sorry,
like, it's
That's
the
rough.
wave button,
Uh-huh.
but it's like, sorry, things seem rough.
or just it's Zuko. That's rough, buddy.
That's rough, buddy.
And no one else will know, but I'll know that you
Oh.
know that I know.
That I know. Okay, so this episode's topic is suggested by and inspired by Chubby Bunny Cosplay. So Nicole, aka Chubby Bunny Cosplay, emailed in and said, I first want to say I really love your podcast. I've been binge listening to it at work, and the topics you talk about are super helpful. Aw, I'm really glad that this has been helpful. That's awesome. So one of the biggest topics I think about with cosplays are roommates at conventions. Do you have any advice on how to have a good time at a con while not wanting to murder your roommates for things like having their stuff spread out everywhere or turning the room into their personal last-minute sewing room? So...
Collective wince.
Kimi is making a face.
We have all been
that
person.
Yeah, so with cosplay survival and whatnot, I thought it'd be fun to start with like choosing your hotel and hotel roommates, which would be kind of an important thing, right?
Mhm.
Very important.
Mhm.
Always choose a hotel that gives breakfast.
Yes.
I mean, you can't always.
if you can.
If you have the option, choose that option.
If you're
Yeah.
looking at 3 hotels, all of which are in the convention block, and you're like, wow, this one is breakfast, pick the breakfast.
Pick the breakfast because not only can you go eat the breakfast, but most breakfast places have toast and muffins and bagels, and there is no rule against taking those up to your room so that you can have a snack later. so it saves money.
Snack.
They don't mind. They don't mind. It's not even
It's not
sneaky.
even weird.
Yeah.
It's so rare when an actual block convention hotel has that
Mhm.
that I'm always thrilled when it does,
Yeah.
because I am one of those crazy people that just I'm not good at eating at the best of days, even like in my daily life. I'll go the whole day and go, oh, I had a breakfast shake, but I sure didn't eat anything else, and now it's 9 p.m. and I need to go to bed. So I'm not great at that anyway, but like taking care of yourself and making sure you have breakfast is a really important thing. So
Yeah.
And honestly, that to add on to that, if you find yourself in a state where you don't think you have time to go get breakfast, like say you're labbing or you have an early panel, make sure you make time to go get breakfast, because you want to take advantage of free buffet food at a con. You want that energy. So no matter how stressed you are, always make time, 10 minutes, to go shovel cereal in your face and then come back to the hotel room.
well, and even whenever I've been at a convention where there isn't a breakfast thing there, we'll go to like a whatever close grocery store or convenience stores or whatever, and just grab a couple of things.
Mhm.
Granola
bars.
Nutri-Grain bars, granola bars. I always love like breakfast protein shakes because I don't get hungry in the morning. But like you have that, it's a good, strong, like nutritious-ish start to the day. So that as you're running throughout the day, you don't go, wow, why am I so angry at everyone? Oh, I'm hungry.
It's like, why am I shaking?
Pro tip on the getting groceries at a
Yeah.
convention. Sometimes when you fly to a convention, you don't have a car, you don't know anyone who has a car there, there's not a grocery store or a gas station within walking distance. Grocery delivery is a thing.
It sure is.
I use that in my personal life because I hate grocery shopping.
I hate it so much.
But a lot of grocery delivery services do like free 1-month trials. Give it a shot. Like you can just sign up for whatever one delivers in the area, and you can just order some groceries to your hotel room.
So we did that at ALA, actually, the convention we went to in January. We just signed up because we don't live in California. So we just signed up for a quick 1-month trial of this app. We had everybody in the room order something on the app from, like, they picked a nearby, was it like Albertsons or something?
Yeah.
And we just all ordered something and someone just delivered the groceries to us. It was fantastic because there were people who needed medicine, like
Mhm.
last minute medicine. There were people who...
The people was me.
The
That
people.
I was
actually,
sick.
it was
I had
not...
the flu.
She did
She
have the
was
flu.
dying.
Yeah, it was awful.
I wasn't
Sad.
there, but I knew she was dying.
Yeah, it was really
I got
bad.
texts.
But there was other people that needed medicine too,
Yeah.
and it was cool to be able to just like throw all that on there and not have to pay to go get some from the hotel. Like
Mhm.
when
It
they'll
gets real
sell things and they
expensive, yeah.
hike the prices up. They might be starting to change that now that this grocery delivery is a thing.
But
But
usually right now it's it's not.
and so it's a really good tip.
Mhm.
Also, if you find that you don't have a budget to eat, like you can plan a grocery budget,
Mhm.
and that's amazing.
And
It's usually
planning
cheaper.
like to get some cup noodles and eat them sadly out of the coffee maker.
Don't eat them out of the coffee
the
maker.
convention food of champions.
Yeah, like
Pour the
that's-
hot water into the
That's
cup.
still better than not eating.
Don't put the noodles into the coffee maker. That's how you
we-
get your room charged.
Oh,
Don't be that
On
guy.
that note,
Don't
don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy.
We should also say that it's called Shipped is the one you guys have been using.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you order over $35, the delivery fee is free.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which is, if you're getting like food for a convention weekend, it's very easy to hit that mark.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I've used Shipped, I've used Instacart. I
Mhm.
feel like there are a few other ones.
Postmates also sometimes
Postmates,
will. They're
yeah.
not there's not as much variety, I guess, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Hell, even heck. Even
What?
even 7-Eleven does delivery now.
Yeah.
So even if you just need like medicine or like if you
Some
have
caffeine.
Yeah.
you have a hankering for an energy drink because it's 3 a.m. and you're pushing through stuff, there is a delivery app for 7-Eleven now, and they will bring it to you. We are lazy humans, so we've used all of these. The 7-Eleven app was great. They brought us a little personalized bag. They
Oh,
were
cute.
so like happy to like deliver us energy drinks, and it was on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Actually. So they came on New Year's Eve and brought us snackages. We were with you, Melissa.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You- you're
I
looking at us.
was like, when was this? It was at my house.
It was.
You're looking at us so like amazed. And we're
Yeah,
like, you witnessed this,
I
friend.
literally, I'm like, oh, cute. I literally saw this bag come into my home because I was like, let's get some snacks. It's New Year's Eve, and I did experience that. Yes, I did. Goodness.
So one thing that I usually do with my roommates at conventions is that we create a snack hoard.
Mm.
And some people don't like doing that, and this will probably go along the lines of like how to handle your roommates and whatnot, is kind of planning ahead with them. What are their diets? What are the foods that they eat? Because like I'm a person, I can eat just about anything, but I know other persons can't just eat about just about everything. Everyone's got like different diets and things, so be aware of like when you're rooming with somebody what their needs are. And like again, if somebody's allergic to peanut butter, that can be really bad.
Yeah.
I love peanut butter, and so I will either not get peanut butter or I won't room with that person because I love peanut butter.
But either way, you know.
We should probably start with a little. We should narrow our thing and probably start with how to try and plan ahead for a good con experience with roommates.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm gonna say no matter what you're doing, planning, putting together, talking to your roommates is a
It's so
huge
important.
thing.
Communicate.
And communicate before the convention.
Before the
Yes.
convention.
Don't do it at the convention. Be like, okay, guys, I really want to keep a clean room.
Yeah.
And the other person in your room is like, oh, I was hoping to finish this.
Yeah.
Yeah, like not only does it allow for like there's an expectation set, but so say you have said I absolutely cannot handle a sewing machine in the hotel room, it wakes me up. That way the person who's like, crap, this is a thing I've actually done where I'm like, crap, I know I have to finish some stuff, but that way they won't bring sewing stuff. Or like there was a con where I sat out in the lobby and glued sequins to a jacket, and that
was a nice little lobby area.
Yeah, it was a nice little lobby area. It was a little alcove. I had my own little shame corner. It was great. But it's that thing where it's like, if I know that my roommates don't want that, I will, even if I do end up having to craft, I will plan for that. So it's really important. It doesn't mean that like, so because hearing that would have made me panic, because sometimes you don't always know if you're going to be done, or you might completely plan on being done and you've already made plans to room with this person and you know they don't want a sewing machine in there. But because you've already communicated that, you know exactly what you can and can't bring. So you can make an informed decision. You can decide to drop the costume. You can ask a friend if you can sew in their hotel room. It gives you options.
You can even talk to your friend, whoever you're rooming with, and be like, "Hey, I know we said this thing. I'm in this situation. Can we work something out?" Like especially rooming with friends. In order to have a peaceful con experience, you really need to be able to give and take.
Yeah, you have to be able to talk to them and be comfortable that they'll be honest back. That's the other thing. In addition to communication, a really important part of communication is honesty.
Yes.
So if you know that you like to go to bed at 10 and and someone's like, hey, is it okay if I bring some friends over? They're from out of state and I haven't seen them for a while. You need to say, I'm not comfortable with that because I go to bed early and I'm afraid you'll keep me up. Like, it may be awkward, but it's better to be awkward beforehand than to be awkward
in the situation.
Yeah.
in the situation or after.
Well, and
like a big one is a lot of people aren't comfortable with drinking. And so that's a big thing. If they say, hey, I'm not comfortable with alcohol in the room, then, that's something that you want to be honest about so that you don't have to kick your friends out with like half a drink in their hands and they have to go find a place to drink because they didn't realize.
Yeah.
So I think, sorry. I was going to say, so I think basically what we're saying is that communication is like the most important tip to how to handle most conflicts in a roommate situation. But you were saying?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think leading into that also, that kind of goes hand in hand with that, is in addition to communicating, is also trying to be the best, the most courteous roommate you can be personally.
Yes.
Because you can't always control other people's actions, but you can control your own.
Yes.
And I mean, that's not to say like be a pushover and just deal with stuff, but like, if you know that you're aware that you have roommates that do like to go to bed at 10 p.m. Being aware of that and like not going out of your way to make their life miserable is good. You're going to have less conflict because you have been courteous of your roommates as well. Same thing with like keeping your things from going everywhere. If you keep your stuff contained, other people are more likely to keep their stuff contained.
Yeah.
Well, and like a big key, and something that made me think of that is, so speaking of people who craft, what will happen is one of you will pull out a hot glue gun and someone will be like, okay, it's cool to use hot glue. maybe it's cool if I use this E6000. And so someone pulls out E6000,
do
and
that
now
in
the
your
room's fumey, and someone's like, well, the room's fumey anyway, so someone pulls out spray paint.
Which,
so basically,
don't do that. You will set off your fire alarm.
will be a
Don't
mistake.
spray paint in your
don't
hotel.
give anyone that tip, Kimiko.
Do not do
I'm
it.
feeling personally called out right now. Thank you.
But so it's that thing where if you start out courteous, people will be courteous. So if you say, hey, is it okay if I take this corner to do my hot gluing? The second person who needs to E6000 things will say, hey, is it cool if I use E6000? And then honesty comes in and someone says, please not, I'd rather breathe. So like,
maybe outside.
Maybe outside.
Maybe in the bathroom with the fan on.
And that's one thing as well. No, Kimi. Be aware of what you are bringing to the convention too. Like if you are aware that you are going to bring E6, know that you are probably going to not do that in the hotel room because that is a toxic material.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be done outside. It needs to be used with a mask and all
Ventilation,
that.
yeah.
Try and take care of the toxic things before you get to the convention, so that way you're not inconveniencing your roommates.
Also, anything that needs to dry.
Yes.
Because spray paint will still smell awful if it hasn't completely cured and you bring it to a convention room. So.
Well, like, spray paint has a time period where it's outgassing, and so it's like you need to give it that time. And I know that it's often like the last second thing that people throw together, then they throw it in the car, that you're driving to the thing, and then you're smelling that all the way down to the... I've done that.
We've all done that. Like, literally every
we've all
one
been
of us.
cosplaying for at least 11 years at this table, so we've all done it at some point. Like, bad life decisions happen.
I'm surprised that I've got, anything going on in my brain right now.
Too many fumes.
Well, and leading into that, as far as, like, crafting in a hotel room goes, I mean, as much as we've all done it, it's been... we've had a fair amount of years. I feel like we've kind of, like, settled into, like, crafting life. Not to say there isn't still panic, but, like... I'm reminded of all those memes that were happening at before KatsuCon and then at KatsuCon, where everyone was con crunching and people were like, not sleeping, not eating, just like busting it to get things done, and it was terrible. And one girl literally came to the convention as KatsuCon Crunch.
I know, I love that picture.
It was the most hilarious.
It was hilarious.
I saw that and I was like, that's the most accurate thing I've ever seen to describe KatsuCon. And she's like, my cosplay's so unfinished, it's still on the shelf at Joanne's. And she's like covered in like a duct tape masking tape mock-up. And she has her sewing machine with her, and she's got
beautiful.
It was beautiful. But I'm like, but that is such the mentality, especially for that convention where people are literally foregoing health to get this costume done.
Do not forego your health.
No,
that's how you end up like Kimi with the flu at a con.
Yeah.
Oh, it was terrible.
Yeah.
Cosplay is a hobby. It's a very, very fun hobby. It's a lot of enjoy. Like, you get really caught up in the fever of it, and you really want to like do your best. Absolutely, but like nothing's worth your health. So if you are, you literally paid to come to this convention, are you going to spend the entire time sewing for this one small thing? Is it that, like, weigh the importance of it ultimately?
Well, and one big thing to add on to that, we're gonna to tie it back into the roommate thing, is if you're rooming with friends, with really close friends, and this has happened to me several times, where those are your friends, they love you, and they are sad that you are trapped in the hotel room sewing. So there were a lot of times where I had friends who they had made plans because they wanted to come spend the convention with me, and they didn't get to spend any time with me because I was sewing the whole time. So that's a consideration as well. If you have a friend who is excited to spend the con with you and they're rooming with you, be aware that they want, that you may not want to continue with a costume that's going to take that time away. That might lead to some hurt feelings as well.
And if you're literally making that costume for being with friends, don't you think they'd rather have you? Like, the costume, anyone that's going to be mad because the costume didn't happen for just like a group of like a photo group is like, that's really God. I was going to use language that's not kid appropriate. It's really it's just kind of garbage. Like
it's really uncool, yo.
Uncool. And I'm not saying like don't fulfill agreements you've made, but like, just taking the time to plan ahead of time. Start earlier. Be planning. Know what you are capable of and get your stuff done.
And be realistic. If you need to drop 2 weeks ahead so that they can plan to replace you.
Yeah.
I'm going to mention, because no one can see it, that Kame is making direct eye contact with me.
I am.
And nodding.
I am. And it's because, so perfect example of this is, I'm going to just completely explain
Thanks.
Kimi's life. Yeah.
Exploit
So-
Kimi's life.
I said explain, but
explain.
exploit works too. I'm going to exploit
This is
Kimi.
now the Exploit Kimi
So
podcast.
Kimi and I are married. I enjoy spending time with her. I'm just going to set that
What?
preface. I know.
Do you really?
Weird.
I know. It's
How?
crazy. And ALA came right before our first wedding anniversary. And we had, you know, some cute feelings like wrapped up in that. And what happened is Kimi and I were trying to finish costumes for this contest. So Kimi not only was trying to finish up to the con and at the con, but then she got incredibly sick. And I basically spent the entire con without her. And I was very sad because I like having her with me at the con. Like, that's the whole reason I go, is to have a good time with my wife. And so when that was all finished, I actually took Kimi aside and I was like, okay, new rule. If we don't have our competition pieces done, I either said 2 or 3 weeks before we leave for the con, we drop them and make super simple costumes that we can run around in. Because Kimi just had a thought. Because I would
She
much
did.
rather be with the person. And so I guess it's important to, like, if you're rooming with someone and you're literally like, I need a place to sleep and possibly so,
Mhm.
then it's not a big deal. But like,
But everyone
remember
knows
why
that's
you're
what-
doing this.
Everyone
Yeah.
knows that's what you're going
Yeah,
in for.
remember
Yeah.
why you're coming to this con. If you are coming to just compete and not see anyone, cool, spend the whole con
Sure.
in your hotel room. But most people pay that money to go spend time with people and experience the convention. And so make sure that you have the same expectations as the people you're rooming with
Mhm.
so that no one's disappointed in the experience.
Mhm.
Well, and I mean, bridging back to crafting at the convention, it's not to say that you can't ever. You know, I know for me, a lot of the previous conventions I've been to, I was going there purely to compete. I didn't know who was attending that convention. I didn't know what was happening at that convention. I barely knew what city it was in. I wanted to compete. And so I was going to make sure that happened. And so that's a different mindset. You know, I was expecting fully that I had paid the money to fly or drive to this convention, to live in this hotel room, to enter this convention. I had paid all of that money, culminating in walking across stage in this costume for competition. So, but that's a different mindset. And, you know, you go in saying this is what I'm doing and be upfront about that.
Mhm.
Um,
And literally, like, it's just that feeling of if your roommates know that that's what you're going to do and you have kind of set it up that that's your goal for the con, then
Yeah.
then they'll either make other plans or they might even say, well, can you maybe find another room? I don't know if I'm
yeah.
comfortable with that. Basically, so it really comes down to just be honest with yourself, be honest with your roommates, and just be aware of, don't spend
Yeah.
$500+ to be miserable.
Yeah.
And don't, other people are also spending money to be there. Like, that's the worst thing, like, especially with ALA. Kimi and I were so heartbroken because we had used our vacation time. We'd saved up all this money for
Mhm.
Kimi to be sick in a different bed.
Yep.
Yep.
Watched the same Hulu in a different bed and just laid there. And so it's that kind of thing where just remember what you're doing it for, whatever that reason may be. Make sure you communicate that reason to your roommates and that they're comfortable with it, and you'll all be okay.
Yeah. Well, and just remember that if your friends are being honest with you and saying, "Hey, I don't think the reason like we're compatible as convention roommates," like, don't take that personally. Because like I have some very dear friends that like we've actually had the conversation of we can never room together ever again.
Well, conventions are very high stress. I won't say high stakes because, I mean, literally it's your own personal decision to do this, but it's very, very high stress situation for everyone involved for multiple reasons, you know? And so I always say, like, you can really test a, like, not even like friendship, but like a compatibility with a convention weekend in the same hotel room. You know, if you can't survive the cage match, as it were, you know, figure it out. But like it's a very tight quarters. Everyone's tired. You're all stressed for whatever reason. You're away from home. There's 4 of you usually in a hotel room.
Sometimes more.
Sometimes more.
Yeah, the days of room stuffing for me are over.
Yeah,
Right.
ditto.
I am too old for that.
I am
garbage.
way too old for that.
I say it's a lot less stressful to just not room stuff. Don't
Mhm.
Don't
try
do
and
it.
put so many people in your room that you can't walk anywhere.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, it's not. And like, for
It's-
instance,
whatever you're saving monetarily wise, you're giving up in your sanity.
yeah,
Yeah.
like Kame and I, like we don't. There's
We literally have one group.
we
No.
don't room with anyone. If we go to a convention, we go to less conventions a year because we know that if we're going to go to a convention, we don't want to share a room.
Yeah. We
Generally speaking.
Well, and it's because literally it comes down to, and this will actually lead into the other thing that I was going to say. Kimi and I have roomed with each other enough that we know.
I would hope you have.
I mean, right? It also helps that we're married, but we know each other's habits. And so here's one thing I will say. If you room with someone once and it's wretched, you don't have to give up on rooming with them ever. You can just bring those concerns to them and be like, hey, friend, this cannot happen again.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
you can try again. Because honestly, I was that person. I was a nightmare roommate, in my first Anime Expo. So you hear that, friends who roomed with me at Anime Expo? It's okay. I know. I was terrible. I made an absolute mess of that hotel room. I ran around half naked because I was trying to make this terrible Steel Samurai costume that I was so damn proud of at the time. Sorry.
Only half
Steel
naked?
Samurai? From like,
We
from
took
like,
two different things from that sentence.
Oh, yes, you did.
Steel Samurai from Phoenix Wright.
Oh yeah, I remember you did that. I totally forgot.
Yeah, and it was garbage, but
love
I was
that
very proud of it.
I love that game.
And I love that game too. And so I was so excited to do the Steel Samurai. So I put this costume together. It was not very good, but I thought it was super good. And a lot of it went together in the hotel room. And I was in such a panic because we had a skit and I was the punchline and I had to have a costume. And so I was just a whirlwind. Like, not only did I trash the bathroom and trash my corner with crafting and get paint on the sheets and then cover that paint up with white duct tape so that the housekeeping wouldn't notice it until we were long gone. Not only did I do all of that, but one of the things I remember very vividly is I was very tired and I sat in the corner and I said to my roommate, okay, my alarm's going to go off in an hour. Don't let me go back to sleep. And so my poor roommates were like, Kame, it's time to wake up. And I'd sit up and I'd be like, okay, I gotta lay down for 10 more minutes. And I have to get up. Don't let me continue sleeping. And I laid down. And that just went on until I heard them verbally just be like, she can sleep. I don't care. Like, they were not going to continue waking me up. And so just everything I brought to that convention was just a mess. I trashed the whole place. They all went to the beach without me at the end, and I don't blame them. It was a mess. And so I was that person and didn't realize it. It was brought to my attention that I was very messy and that people couldn't room with me again because they thought that was the kind of roommate I was. And I was like, well, this was my first time ever doing this to a con. Everything else I had, been prepared for ahead of time. So it was like, I had not known it was going to get that bad, but I vowed not to let it get that bad again if I could help it, unless I was in a room with my wife who understood. She was not my wife at the time.
You
I didn't
made
even
that
know
vow
her.
then.
I made that vow then that I would marry an understanding woman.
In the future.
In the future.
Joke's on you.
I know, you're the one who's messy now.
I'm so
But yeah, so it's that thing where it's like people can change. So you can, if you're like, but this is my really close friend and it'll be so awkward to tell them that I can't room with them again, then start by saying, hey, I'd love to room with you, but some things have got to change. And that gives them the opening to say, well, I'm sorry, I can't change those things, or show that they will change those things. It literally comes down to, it's all about how you would treat a relationship. You do the same thing. These are your friends.
Yeah.
Treat them like your friends. Communicate like they're your friends. If they're strangers, which I've also done. I've roomed with strangers. I did it once. Yeah.
Then just don't room with those strangers again.
Yeah.
Pick
Well,
new strangers.
And the thing is, I wish I had communicated with those strangers a little bit better. But I wasn't the one who was booking the room, and I didn't think to tell someone to ask the questions.
Gotcha.
But like, we didn't ask, were there going to be parties and drinking? We didn't ask if we would have a bed. We got there and we didn't have a bed. We thought we'd at least have like a couch. but we were sleeping like on the floor in the corner.
Oh.
Like it was all these things. And so even with a stranger, communication is really, really important.
I would say even more important.
Even more
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
You want to communicate with them, but I would advise against rooming with a stranger.
I would also
Um,
advise against
and
I would
that.
unless-
also, yeah.
Unless you have a mutual friend who's rooming with you at the same time. So if you're like, if someone's like, these are my friends, I vouch for them.
Venn diagram overlapping.
Venn diagram overlapping. Or what I did when I did it was me and a friend rooming with these strangers. So we were always together. If we were uncomfortable, we were together.
Mhm.
So we could take care of each other. We weren't alone. But I still wouldn't recommend that if you can help it, just because it's, it could potentially be
It can be
dangerous.
dangerous.
It could potentially be uncomfortable.
As much as we all want to think that we're all nerds and everyone's like, here for each other, it can be very dangerous.
Yeah.
And not everyone has the same motivation or feelings or I don't want to say morals, but like
Even that, though.
yeah,
Everyone has different.
as far as like how they react in such situations.
Yeah.
There's always like those room sharing boards, and I'm always a little nervous when I see friends jumping on it going, oh yeah, I just really want to go to this convention, and then they've just come home with absolute horror stories
with terrible
of
stories.
Granted they had a good cheap hotel experience and they got to the convention, but at what cost?
Yeah.
So
Save the money. Take the time. Save the money. It's worth it.
mhm.
Makes it way more enjoyable.
It really
Yeah.
does. It really does.
Now, as someone who's been also the messy person in hotel rooms, one way that I've gone about, because I'm aware of how messy and how spready I can get. You can ask my husband. Just in our, when we were in our apartment, I could never just stay in the project room when I worked on something. I would spread all over the apartment. It would you'd just come home and there would be wig hair in the living room and prop stuff in the kitchen. And he's always like, please don't use the kitchen table, Mercedes. And I'd be at the kitchen table sewing and I'd just like look at him with like that SpongeBob
deer in the
meme. Like,
headlights.
Like a gremlin from under the kitchen table.
You're just
what
like,
are you talking about?
like, why are you home early?
Yes.
And he didn't mind so long as I cleaned up afterwards, because he realized that he wasn't going to stop my spread. So he's like, you need to, he's like, okay, but make sure you clean up when you're done and clean up the day of.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
don't leave it around for a week. And I still do
Mhm.
that now, every now and then, but I'm really working on that.
Kame
Now,
is
in
once
hotels-
again making very intense eye contact with me, and I do not appreciate that.
I can tell.
As a side note,
Yeah, at hotels, what I do when I get into the hotel room is I make sure it's okay with everybody else, but I pick the spot that's farthest away from the door, and put all my stuff up against the wall in between like the bed and the wall, because most hotel rooms are like the same kind of space. But I just like put all my stuff as far away from everybody else as I can because I don't want to be in their way. I just I don't want to be the one with like a bag that's laying out and somebody trips over it.
Mhm.
I really hate feeling like I'm a burden on other people. And so I just get as far away from everybody else as possible. And then when I work on stuff, I try to work on just one thing at a time. And then I'll lay it on the bed when it's finished. And if I'm working on something at a convention, a lot of times I'll bring a repair kit. I'll do the same thing with the repair kit where just the repair kit is out. Everything else is still in its bags. If I've got an outfit that I want to wear, later in the day, that'll be laid out on my side of the bed. Not on Sadie's side of the bed, but on my side of the bed.
I love how it's just like Sadie.
I always room with Sadie. I always room with Sadie. She gets me. But it's I'll work on one thing at a time, and then I'll just set that aside, but not in the way of anybody. And then once it gets to a point where it's I feel like if I'm filling up that side of the bed and whatnot, I'll put it back in its box. I carry around one bin per costume, almost. Sometimes I can fit more in that bin, but I try to keep them inside of that bin so I'm not spreading out all over the hotel room. And it seems to have worked pretty good. I lucked out when I went to ALA with the Zora armor. Yeah, I lucked out that I got my own room for that, and I could just shut the doors.
Yeah.
And that was nice.
That was us this time. We were just
Yeah.
kind of like sewing machine shame corner here,
The
closing the
shame
door.
doors.
yeah. As a side note, in terms of trying to declutter, in my experience in rooming with people at conventions, a lot of people just live out of their suitcase, which is fine, and it's definitely, it works if you have a system like Mercedes was just talking about, but very few people I know actually take a moment to unpack. I used to, talk to my roommates and be like, hey, does anyone mind if I claim these 2 drawers? And I would take like 15, 20 minutes when I first got into the hotel room, and I would unpack and put my things in those drawers.
It's awesome.
And that means you're not tripping over them. If you need to get to them later, you know where they are.
Yep.
You can put your bag like somewhere out of the way. It's just less clutter in the room.
There is
It's
space there
nice.
for you to use.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
It's nice to get to do that. It's not always, if you have too many people in the room, it's not always, you don't always
Yeah,
get to.
it's not always
But,
realistic.
like, boy, is it nice when you get to.
Mhm.
When I get there and there's only like 2 people in a hotel room, then it's like, excellent. I can actually unpack, claim some area, and you can kind of keep things organized. When there is a full room, I generally try to keep everything contained in my suit. And generally it's 2 suitcases because I'm a dumpster fire and I cosplay massive things, and so it's a lot of costumes. So it's generally 2 checked bags and like maybe 2 carry-ons. When it's not, it's an absolute miracle. But typically it's not. And so there's a fair amount of bag already in that. And so I'll try to like devise a section of, okay, I've worn this, and then I'll transfer that to the other suitcase and be like, this is the suitcase of things that I'm not going to need the rest of the convention. So I can put everything in that, zip it up, and stand it off into the side.
Yep.
And keep that out of the way. So only the things that I need and are going to access are in that particular bag. So that helps quite a bit.
Yes. I also do a thing where I try to always remember to bring 2 things with me to a convention. And that's a duffel bag that I can roll up and put in my suitcase. And I then put dirty clothes and dirty costumes in that duffel bag so that that's out of the way. And the other thing is I always try to remember to bring garbage bags.
Mm-hmm.
You can get them from like the housekeepers and stuff, but if you bring like 3 or 4 garbage bags, you can always kind of clean up after yourself as you go.
Because they only give you those itty bitty
Yeah.
ones.
They'll
and-
give you the itty bitty ones or the giant ones.
Yeah,
So
and
that's
the giant ones don't have the little tie pulleys, and you got to tie a knot.
So yeah, a garbage bag, just bringing a garbage bag with you can honestly help with a mess, whether you're just cleaning up your own stuff or offering it to your roommates to say like as like a not so subtle hint of please clean.
Also, a pro tip here that I cannot take credit for. It is a Kimi pro tip. But outlets are such real estate in a hotel room.
Yes,
Bring
they are.
power strips.
Yeah, I always bring a surge protector.
Bring surge protectors, and because then suddenly outlets are not as
Dire.
scarce.
I
And
don't know why I've never thought of that. I'm writing it down.
I've also started to do it's a new problem I've had now that I've been traveling internationally, is that your plugs don't work. They're different plugs in different countries. And until I started looking into those kind of plugs, I didn't realize you could get, regular standard American plugs with USBs in them. So you can plug your plug in, have that, and then you have like a bunch of extra USBs for like phone charging or battery charging or whatever it is. So I can claim just one single plug and then have all my USBs connected to it. So it never occurred to me to find fancy plugs until I started looking into fancy plugs. And like, there's a
fancy
whole new
plugs.
world. You can get a USB
Oh my
collection.
And that's something too that comes down to consideration, is like you don't think about that until you're the person who, like, this happened to me where you were waiting for an alarm to go off and it didn't go off because someone unplugged your
And your phone
phone
was dead.
and plugged their phone in because they meant to do it for just a little bit and then they fell asleep.
Yep.
And so that will foster so much like animosity. And so thinking about stuff like power strips, or if someone unplugs your phone because they need it for their glue gun. So power strips, you can literally be like, here is the crafting power strip.
Yeah.
Craft things go in here. This is my outlet. So
Yeah.
And if you're worried about crafting too, you can also designate like an area of the room
Mhm.
just for that.
Mhm.
And,
If anyone needs to craft, it is on this desk and nowhere else.
Yeah.
Yep. yeah, I think last day LA, there was a table in our room,
Yes.
and I utilized that
That's
very
nice.
well.
we
Yeah.
utilized the crap out of it this year too.
Yeah.
We sure did. We sure did. And then at Bonsai, we always room at endorsement, the Home 2 Suites.
It's an extended
It's
stay
an extended
hotel.
stay hotel right across from the convention hotel.
So they have
and
a full kitchen.
They have a full
and-
kitchen with a dishwasher, a microwave, a fridge. It's awesome, but they also have this really nifty pull-out desk table thing.
Yeah.
And so you can pull it out, craft like a sad, crazy person, and then when you're done, you can just push it back in and hide your shame.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great. So can't recommend that enough. It's kind of pricey, but it's absolutely worth it. Especially if you are a crying person, crying cosplayer like us. And you're going to be crafting and that, so you can pull the table out and then put it back so that it doesn't bother your roommates and they don't crash into it in the middle of the night. However, their bathroom doors are awful.
Sometimes they will just lock whether someone's in there or not.
So here's what I'll say. Here, you know what? We're going to touch on this.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Because it's very important. It's important.
This could be going
We're
any
going to
number
talk
of
about
directions.
bathroom etiquette.
Oh,
Yes.
When you are rooming with people.
Yes, this is
You've
important.
got to. So here's a thing to pack.
Goodness.
Febreze. Not just because you will stink, but because things you make will stink.
Oh my god!
And so
Goodness.
Wow.
costumes. I wasn't. Hey, y'all went there, but that's not where I was going. But you know what? It's true. But also, you'll stink, things will stink, and then yes, you'll go to the bathroom, which is not what I was talking about, but everyone here has their minds in the toilet. But yeah, bring Febreze. Bring Febreze because no one wants to be the person who uses the bathroom after you, but no one wants to be the person who's like, there are 6 people in this room, and that just happened in here, and they are in line waiting to use the bathroom, and it's mortifying. It's a social thing. It happens to everybody. Everybody poops. It's fine. But, like, you're gonna feel... It's a thing. You have to think about it. Someone's going to go in there. Be as considerate as you would be if you were a guest in someone's home. And so that's a thing. And then don't leave messes all over the counter.
Mhm.
Like one of the I've had costumes ruined by makeup or face paint.
Yeah.
Do your makeup, then put it away.
Then put it away.
A lot of hotels have drawers in their bathroom vanities.
What?
Utilize them.
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a thing. And then even if they don't, bring like a little, all I can remember is what 90s kids called them. Bring a caboodle, one of those little
Yeah.
things that you open up for your makeup and put it all away because I have had foundation.
Only one person can fit at those sinks anyway. So
Yeah.
it's like, you take your stuff, you put your makeup on, you put it back in your caboodle.
Your caboodle.
Close it up, put it back at by your side of the bed, and boom.
Yeah,
next
because
person can use the sink.
I've had foundation and mascara and face paint all end up on my costumes because I wear glasses and you can't do that when you're putting contacts in. You kind of have to take the glasses off, and so
you're
I have
leaning
to
over
lean
the counter,
in,
yeah.
and I will lean in and I will just smear the whole front of me.
And that's the saddest
And
thing.
it's very frustrating, especially if you're in a competition piece or
This is the first time you're wearing the costume, and no one's seen it. Now it's ruined.
and now it's ruined.
Yeah.
And so, bathroom etiquette: clean up after yourself in the cosplay and makeup sense, but also in the like decent human being hygiene sense.
Mhm.
Let's try to think of a diplomatic way to say this. Be aware of what you throw in the garbage can.
Or don't.
Or what you forget to throw in the garbage
goodness.
can. This is a thing. Like, imagine that you are going to live with these people. Like, and the thing is, a lot of us have that shame and are aware, but a lot of other people aren't used to sharing bathrooms. And so when they're just in the bathroom, they forget. And so it's basic etiquette, like, be aware of what you throw in the bathroom garbage. It's really small. You've got to share it. If you are concerned, like, so this is something that one of my groups actually did, and I thank them every day. The hotel has a lobby bathroom. So if you are concerned or it's crowded and you know, like people all need the bathroom, you can go down to your own hotel's lobby and use their bathroom.
Yep.
And that's a thing that used to happen. Like, I had a friend who got really sick and that's what he did. And we thanked him for it every day. And so it's a thing where you gotta, and it's something you gotta talk about. Don't splash the mirrors. Don't use all the towels.
I was gonna say, be aware of your towel usage.
Yeah,
and
too.
unless you have like an extreme, like, you can't do this, try to reuse your towels.
Mhm.
Like, use a towel, take it, maybe like
Hang
lay
it
it out,
somewhere,
hang it
yeah.
up.
It's
like,
better for the
I know
planet.
it's better for the planet, but it's also, you don't want to be calling for more towels.
Mm-mm.
Everyone
Also-
is wanting more towels. Like, I know when I take a shower, I use 2 towels. So I will use those 2 towels and I will, like, put them aside so that I don't use any
Mhm.
more towels.
Well, and additionally, sorry, Melissa. Additionally, so I'm one of those people that has a really hard time reusing towels. So I pack towels. I pack my own towels because I know one night I'm going to take a shower and use their towels, and then the next night I'm going to use mine. So that's a thing to be considerate there, so that there's towels for everyone. I pack my own towels and never, ever, ever, ever just dump them soppy and wet on the floor where other people are going to be, because that's gross.
That's so gross.
Don't do that.
I generally, because I'm like pushing every ounce of poundage I'm allowed to have in a suitcase, I can't necessarily pack my own full towels, but in my toiletries / makeup caboodle, I always have 1 or 2 washcloths. And even if I'm not necessarily going to be short on towels, I use that specifically for when I'm taking my makeup off. Like, I have my disposable makeup wipes and I like, get the makeup off. And then you do like your next like wash your face thing. You're ruining towels. And some places are fine with it and some places are not. But if you're doing it with your own makeup towel, designated wash my face towel, you then take that home and wash it. And it's not a big deal. You haven't ruined anyone's towels.
And that's another thing to pull into the consideration with roommates is whoever's name that room is in, if you wreck towels, wreck sheets, and put white duct tape on them, like if you do those things, there is a chance that friend of yours is going to get charged. And that's not cool. Like, that's
Pretty
something
crummy thing.
That's a pretty crummy thing to do to somebody. And so when you're taking these precautions, it's not just out of courtesy to them immediately while they're sharing your space, but it's courtesy so that if something happens, like, you did everything you could to avoid that charge. Because nothing's worse than someone doing everything they can to be clean, but they have a really messy roommate who ruins everything for them.
Well, and it even comes down to things like I often have mermaid / galaxy hair. And when it depends on the dye, but like some are, they bleed a little bit even after you've like thoroughly washed them out. Pravana does usually. So, it looks really nice and vibrant and it seems like it's not washing out, but when you go to sleep, it may like rub on the pillowcase. So, I've actually started bringing, when I have freshly dyed hair, I've been bringing my own pillowcase and I just reskin the pillow and sleep with that. And then I just take it off at the end of the convention.
Or like
Also,
what I have also,
I say when I've done that, you can even take like a black t-shirt and put it over your pillow in a pinch if you've forgotten.
And what I have also done, not with dyed hair, but I've done it in the like, I don't want to use this white pillowcase. What if I get a nosebleed, etc. Is if you're in a hotel that has a decorative pillow, like usually they'll have like a red pretty pillow or whatever color the room is. Just use that pillow. It's cool. You don't have to throw it off the bed. Like it's cool. You can use it. It's there for that. So I'll do that sometimes. Like there was one. Oh, it was so long ago. There was one time where I was wearing a very short wig. I'm going to repeat this trick because it was actually really good and it wasn't bad for my hair. I was wearing a very short wig. And I didn't want my hair to poke out. So I slicked it all up with hairspray and then I painted it with Elmer's glue to keep it up.
Oh.
And then when the Elmer's glue dried, I painted it the color of the wig. And it was amazing. And I was going to wear that costume the next day. So I did not wash it out of my hair.
Oh, no.
And so, lucky for me, it was a white wig. So it was white. Okay. But that's a thing where I was just like, I'm not going to use a nice pillow for this because what if I wreck it? But hey, speaking of that tip though, it's glue is made of animals. It's just a protein. So not only did it wash out, but it left my hair so soft. Like I was worried it was going to damage my hair, and it was good.
Elmer's glue is the punk like mohawk styling product of choice.
You know, it was funny.
Or at least it was back in my day. Oh gosh, I'm old.
I had a friend actually like send me a message going like, cosplay question, can you use Elmer's glue in hair? And I was like, I actually know the answer to this.
It's a washable glue, so
it washes right out. You can paint on top of it. It's great. People sometimes use it for their eyebrows. I don't recommend that. It looks fake, but you can do it.
Well, it's like the drag queen glue stick thing. Like that's totally legit.
Like you can definitely use it to slick down your eyebrows and paint foundation on top of your like eyebrow and then draw the eyebrow in. But I wouldn't recommend painting it with a paintbrush on your eyebrow and then painting it the color.
No,
I've tried it a few times. It looks kind of fake. So I'm just throwing it out there. If you do it and you like the look, more power to you. I did not like the look. But it's safe to do that and it won't rip out like a lot of other glue and stuff that you will use. This is so off topic. Will rip out your hair, but my wife loves me. She's looking at me like she likes me. Sorry. She's just watching me passionately talk about using glue on my eyebrows. But so no, like it doesn't rip out your hair. It just melts with water, and so it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Also, if you spill it in a hotel room, not glue-all, not Elmer's glue-all, just Elmer's glue, it wipes up really easy. Glue-all is awful when it spills and dries on a surface.
Wow, that's a shaming look right there. Amy's avoiding eye contact.
So there's Elmer's glue, like the school glue, and then there's glue-all, which is like the stronger stuff.
Is it like weirdly clear?
It can be. It can also be white.
Okay.
But and it's just basically it's like Elmer's glue but stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And it's better to hold things together with. I wouldn't put that on your skin. I wouldn't put that on your hair.
Gotcha.
But just like basic, like 50 cents a bottle, like kids glue. Yeah. And it wipes right off. So if you make a mess in the hotel room, you can just get a wet towel. And
It's amazing how many white glues are like water soluble.
Yeah.
I found out the hard way when I just left Mod Podge on my foam and then it got wet and all my things stuck together in the bag I had them in. So
That's
Yep.
sad.
water activated.
Water activated.
It's exciting.
Science.
So,
Are
I
we?
think-
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, how are we doing on topic?
Yeah.
We're doing good. We're doing good, actually.
I
We're
think
doing
we've
good.
talked about a lot of the topics.
Actually, I wanted to add on
Yeah.
showering.
yes, please do it.
Schedule
Yes.
and also just do it straight up, but schedule it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Also, shower, talk with everybody. Some people like to shower in the morning. Some people like to shower at night.
Yep.
Some people like to shower every day. Some people like to shower like once every 2 or 3 days.
Some people don't like to shower at all, and you got
And
you
that
got
may be a problem.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. But if you do that, I said do. If you do that, no, I'm just giggling. I am 8 years old, which is amazing because I've been cosplaying for 15 years. But no, like if you, hopefully it won't be an issue. But if it is, like if you're sharing a bed with someone and they're not showering, that's a problem.
That's terrible.
That's an absolute problem, and you need to talk. But if it's not bothering you and it doesn't bother them, it's cool. But like that's an okay boundary to set, and that's an okay thing to be aware of. Like if you're someone who doesn't shower very often, but you're sharing a bed, maybe you shower at cons.
Mhm.
Also, like I know some people like really long showers. I know some people who even take baths at cons because it's a nice new different tub.
Also relaxing.
Be when
It's
people are
relaxing.
waiting.
But like, make sure that if you're about to do that, you just clear it with everyone and be like, has everyone showered who needed to? Are
Has
people
everyone used the
okay if I
bathroom?
use this?
Brush teeth. Are they
Mhm.
just everyone done with the
it would
bathroom?
suck if like you like get up in the morning and you're like, oh, I gotta hurry and get ready, but I need to shower first, and someone's taking a long luxurious bath, and you're just like,
Yeah.
You like open the door and they're sitting there with like a glass of champagne, and, like rose petals scattered
Wow.
throughout the foam.
It's 8 in the morning.
It's a
but this
mimosa.
is-
Okay.
Hopefully they were comfortable with you just walking in on them in the bathroom.
I know, I was
first
just
of all.
thinking that. I was
They
like,
just have one
don't-
leg poking out of the bath.
It's
like
hello.
big bubble bath.
Uh-huh.
Probably not kosher to do that to your roommates.
Don't
No.
I
do
mean,
that,
depends
guys.
on your roommate.
Kind of related, but kind of not related. Related in the sense that there's a certain smell that comes with conventions because you're sweating and running around, you know.
Mhm.
Your costume's gonna get gross because you're a human and you're sweating in it. Vodka spray is the best thing because it actually kills the bacteria. So it's what they do in theater costumes often. And so it'll be like a mixture of part vodka, part water, and you'll just put it in a spray bottle and spray it into the inside of your costume. Because it's kind of like Febreze, except it just kills everything.
So instead of like masking it, it just
It literally just it kills
Destroys.
it all. Yeah. It's very nice on pieces that you can't necessarily wash instantly, or, you know, in theater, for example, where you can't because you have to wear it in the next 6 hours, you know, you can't, but you can de-stink it. You can do something about that bacteria that's going to try to grow in your suitcase.
So I literally just had an image, and it's probably something I'll do.
Okay.
Because I know myself. I'm going to get a Popov bottle. I'm going to pour half of it out, pour water in there, and screw a little spray thing on
Oh
it.
my gosh.
And then
I just
Yeah.
imagine bringing home something like that and Chris being like, "What's this?" It's like it's not NyQuil.
It's not NyQuil. It could be if you
it's
drink
for
enough of it.
cosplay, believe it or not.
Yes.
But yeah, just basic, unflavored. Don't get like it's whipped
Cookies and cream
whipped
vodka.
cream scent. No, if you got cookies and cream vodka, keep it. It's discontinued.
They don't make it anymore. It's sad.
It's not relevant to cooplay. But if you have that, treasure it.
I learned so much.
But just regular
Hold it
unscented,
close. Hold it dear.
and just like standard. It doesn't even. It can even be super cheap. But
Pop-off, guys.
Yeah.
Pop-off.
Pop off.
but because it is an alcohol and it's super like it's. I mean, it's not rubbing alcohol, but it might as well be if it's super cheap bottom shelf. It will do that cleaning job. So
Sweet.
there
I
you
did
go.
not know that. I'm really
Information. I know.
excited about that. Learning new
Power
things.
strips and vodka spray.
And then, and that's also another thing I'm going to bring up.
Yeah.
And it's something that a lot of newer cosplayers do. But another thing to talk about, you're rooming with someone and you really like their costume and they're not wearing it on day 3 and you want to wear it.
Don't wear your friend's
Do
stuff.
people do that?
They
Uh-huh.
do that.
I had that happen to me when I was rooming with strangers.
What?
They saw that I had a pair of white shoes because I was cosplaying Lad Russo from Bacano.
Uh-huh.
And they were throwing together just a, what did they call it? Like they had just thrown every white thing that they owned on and said
Okay.
that they were Shitsuji.
Okay.
And they were like,
Oh.
"Can I borrow your shoes?" And I remember
What?
I'm sitting there like as a baby cosplayer going like, "I guess."
At the very least, they asked.
That's true.
That is definitely, if you want to wear your friend's thing, ask first.
Ask-
Yeah,
I have
ask.
Do
heard.
not be butthurt if they say no.
Yeah.
I have heard a lot of stories actually of people running into their roommates wearing their costumes.
Yeah, and a big thing, too, is,
Ugh.
if you're gonna do that, don't just ask first. Ask before the con.
Yeah.
Because
Because that's fine.
yeah, it's,
Everyone knows what's on the table.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
nothing is worse than someone not realize. Okay, so say they didn't vodka spray that, and they don't know how to explain to you that it smells like death. You put them in an awkward situation where they're like, "You can wear it, but I don't want you to know that I smell like this."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's
But-
literally like they can prepare to lend it to you.
I mean, really more than that. Don't go into a situation where you're not going to have what you need and you're going to have to put others into a situation in which they have to let you have or use that thing for your thing to be complete or it's terrible.
Mhm.
It's just not a good game plan
Yeah.
to expect others to provide that thing for you.
Go
in
in
any
prepared.
context. Yeah.
Even if that preparation means asking them ahead of time if you can borrow their fashion tape,
Sure.
their heat gun,
Yeah.
their
And
wig
it's-
glue.
I mean-
Ask them first so that you have time to get
Uh-huh.
but I know a lot of people who are perfectly happy to share, but it's better for you to ask ahead of time so that they know that that's a potential,
Well, and it's
thing.
one thing to be like, oh, we're all crafting together, and I go, oh, you have pins. I forgot mine. Can I borrow a couple? I mean, that's a situational, that's it, whatever. But you show up and you go, I don't have shoes, but I knew you were bringing them. Can I wear them? That's an awkward situation.
You're wearing a
Mhm.
girl costume today. Can I wear your binder?
Yeah.
I've had that. So it's a thing. So it's just a thing. Don't borrow your roommate's stuff without asking. Ask ahead of time if you think you might need to borrow your
Mhm.
roommate's stuff, and be gracious and understanding if they have to say no.
Yeah.
Be
Mhm.
gracious even if the only reason they're saying no is because they don't want you to use it. That's
Yeah.
okay. That's fine. That it's their stuff.
Yeah, I've got one person that I can trust wearing my stuff, and that's my sister Lexus. Otherwise, if someone's like, I want to wear your stuff, could I wear it? I'll just be like, nope,
Nope.
nope, 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 nope.
It's
Yeah.
one thing if I ruin the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's another thing if you ruin the thing.
Yep.
Mhm.
Because it's not I'll be upset because you ruined the thing, but it's if I ruin it, it's on me and it's my own fault, and okay, whatever.
That's another thing. If someone's crafting in the room, wait for them to ask you for help or offer to help them and then help them.
Mhm.
A lot of times people will be like, "Oh, I helped," and they didn't help.
They've just
So they've
done
just
it.
made it worse. So make sure that you can offer help. As someone who's been crying and crafting,
Mhm.
I really appreciate it when someone's like, "Is there anything I can do?"
Sure.
There was at Bonsai when I was sobbing over my Bakura bias tape that I was hand sewing on, and Melissa was like, "You have 5 inches left. Would you like some help?" And I was just like,
Aw.
but I prefer that to someone being like, "I heat and bonded the rest of your bias tape on," and you're just
Yeah.
like, "Thanks."
Everything
That
else
was
is
what I would've done.
hand ladder stitched, but that's fine.
Yeah, and so it's one of those things where it's even the best of intentions. Also, don't clean up for your roommates. What if, you can say, "Hey, can you clean up?" That's fine, but don't clean up for them unless you're married to them, like I am. Because what if they needed that? What if that wasn't garbage? That's a thing that happens with cosplayers a lot. Like, what if that scrap of fabric was an obi tie and you threw it away? Like, so don't clean up for your roommates unless it's like a cup of noodle like thing. But like, if you notice there's a mess, ask them to clean it. Ask them if you can clean it. Sometimes they'll say yes. Most of the time they'll say no, because that's their thing that they're working on. So don't clean up after your roommates without permission.
Sometimes cosplay looks like garbage.
Yeah, sometimes cosplay
it
looks
does.
like garbage.
Truer
Let's
words
be
have
real.
never been spoken.
Like, sometimes until that final coat of spray paint, it looks like a hot duct tape mess.
Yep.
And that's fine.
It is a reality.
But so yeah, that would be another thing. If you have a messy roommate, talk to them about how they're messy. Maybe choose not to room with them again, but don't take it into your own hands to fix it, because some people will take that very badly.
Yeah.
Some people won't. So if you have set up a relationship where that's a thing that can happen, whatever, but most people will not appreciate you helping without asking.
Just be conscious of each other.
Yeah.
And be gentle with each other. Everyone's humans. Everyone's dealing with stuff. Everyone's trying to survive this high-stress situation we all paid to participate in.
I know, right?
Yeah.
My family used to be like, so where did you go? And I was like, Washington, D.C. And they're like, did you see anything?
No.
Nope.
I spent $1,000 to just sit in the same hotel room and cry.
Yep. Did that.
Uh-huh.
Did that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So I think, we've all had this advice on how to be A, a more considerate roommate, or B, how to deal with someone who you'd like to be more considerate. But I think something we haven't really touched on is how to be a considerate guest of the hotel.
Oh, that's
Yes.
important.
In that, so you've done all
Absolutely.
these things, you've done everything you can, and the room's still a mess. Put the do not disturb sign up.
Yeah.
Do not make the housekeeper come in and handle that
Well,
minefield.
and they don't even know what to do with it.
Yeah,
so
they,
often they'll just like make the bed maybe at best, because it's like, what else? They can't touch anything.
Yeah.
They don't want to destroy it.
Yeah.
I usually just leave the do not disturb thing
Yeah.
up the whole weekend, and whenever I need like new towels and things like that, I go out and I
And
ask
ask
for
for
Yeah,
it.
you
Yeah.
ask, you can be like, hey, we need some more toilet paper. Hey, we need some more towels. And they'll...
I mean, there have been a few conventions where, like, we've been, like, actually on the ball, and, like, we've been able to not have that sign up
Yeah.
all weekend. And that's super pleasant to come back and the bed is made.
It's
And, like,
hey.
and I appreciate that. And I
Don't
know that they
experience
work
it.
hard, and I don't want to, like, that's the thing is, like, if I were working, you have to stop and put yourself in their situation of, if this was just your job, you're 9 to 5 and you hate it, but you need money, and you walk into a cosplay room,
Yeah.
what do you do?
Well,
What would you
It
think?
depends
Yeah.
on who I'm rooming with, because there's definitely some times where I'm like, nah, just do not disturb. We'll clean it up at the end. It's fine. And there's sometimes where it's like every day and it's lovely and you get the maid service. But no matter what, when you're done at your stay at this hotel, tip your maid service.
Tip pretty well, especially if you've been crafting.
Yeah.
Just plan on that. Like,
Throw away your garbage.
How? Okay, good point. Okay, so what I normally do is there's always the desk that has like their hotel stationery stuff. I usually will write a little note, be like, thank you for taking such good care of me or whatever, and you just kind of leave it on, here's this tip. Leave it on that table very clearly visible so they can see that it's a tip. So
something else that
I'm
my mom used to be a hotel maid,
Mhm.
and what a lot of people will do is they'll actually buy a little something in
yeah.
addition to the tip. And so like if you've left something and it's noticeable, like it's a little basket of
Yeah.
fruit or like something, they'll see that and then you'll have the tip there.
Yeah.
And so that helps too. Like even just buying like I don't know, like a Coke and like a candy bar or something.
Well, and
that lets them know here is a gift for you.
yeah, well, and having a note on it that says it is, so no one thinks it's a forgotten thing.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and then actually I don't remember which hotel it was that I stayed in recently, but I've stayed in a lot of hotels the past couple of years. But I've noticed a lot of hotels in the envelope, they'll hand you the key in that has like the Wi-Fi password.
Mm-hmm.
Will say like, please, if you'd like to tip, leave a tip in this envelope for your
Sure.
house service.
Mhm.
So some hotels will even like account for that.
They have it set up.
and have it
You
set
can
up for
watch
you.
for that when you go in. Even some Airbnbs do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another thing. If you, and this was something cringy where I didn't realize it was a thing the first time I went to a con,
Mm-hmm.
tip your maid service, but tip bellboys.
Oh,
tip
yes.
the person who parks your car or choose to park it yourself.
Yeah.
Because nothing is worse than seeing them like they just trekked all the way up here
Yeah.
with your room service and they are smiling and obviously waiting for something.
Yeah.
You close the door in their face.
If I'm not prepared to tip bell service, then I just haul my bags myself.
Yeah.
Don't just know if someone's gonna, generally speaking, in a hotel, unless you're in like Europe or
Mhm.
like Japan or something.
Yeah, don't tip
Like
in Europe.
Yeah,
in
this
the
is all for
US.
US.
This is U.S. specific.
Yeah.
If someone is at a hotel is performing any kind of service for you in terms of bringing you your food, bringing up your bags, cleaning your hotel room, be prepared to tip them or be prepared to turn it down.
Yeah.
Mhm. And it's not.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You can turn it down, or you can even say something like, I'm sorry, I don't have any cash to tip you.
Mhm.
And they can take it from there. They can say,
Well,
that's
yeah.
fine, or they can say,
Yeah.
they can take it from there. So you can say, no, it's all right, I'll take it. I don't have the money to tip you. And they can be
Yeah.
like, okay, well, that's, thanks, go ahead.
Well,
or
and
they can be like, I don't mind.
I've definitely had times where I'm absolutely exhausted but I don't have any cash, and I'll ask them specifically like, how long are you at this desk, and I'll come down an hour later with cash, specifically knowing what their name is so that the tip gets to them. So I've done that on occasion where I've just like, I can't haul these bags, I'm going to die. So, plan for that in advance. Ooh, unrelated to that, but kind of related to that, not hotel specific, but airport specific. If you use SkyCap, before you get into the building, you can drop your bags off and check into your hotel, or check into your flight, and you're good to go. You don't have to wait in line usually, but if you use those guys, it's a free service, but tip them.
Mm-hmm.
So I usually do $1 or $2 per bag, depending on how heavy my bags are and how bad I feel about it. But
Guilt
the
tipping.
weight of guilt.
So it's not that's kind of actually your similar tipping consideration for bellboys as well. But like it's changed how I fly, because it used to be miserable. I'd drag all my suitcases through all the lines trying to get checked in, and my baggage dropped off at the counter, and it was terrible, and you'd get lost, and maybe it was an airport you didn't know where everything was. And if you just see that counter for your airline and you just drop your bags off, and then you're just free to float through the airport. It's lovely. It's changed my life, and that's how I fly now.
You float.
It's worth the extra couple
You
dollars.
don't fly, you float.
I don't fly, I float.
So yeah, just be considerate to not only your roommates but to the staff of the convention, the
Yeah.
airport, the Airbnb,
I always-
the Uber driver, the
Uber driver, yeah.
the grocery delivery person.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't act like hooligans at the
No.
hotel either. I
Please
always hate
don't
it
do
when I
that.
hear that somebody broke a window or somebody ripped siding off of the elevators or
Ugh.
somebody.
Someone destroyed the exit sign. Someone
Yeah.
punched a hole in the wall.
And
Someone
then
wrote
said One Punch Man is
Katsukan
here.
on the It just don't do it. Don't
Yeah.
do it.
Be nice to the hotel, otherwise, like, eventually the cons of you ruining the hotel is going to outweigh the pros of having that convention there, and they'll stop hosting.
They will not
And
renew the contract.
Let's break this down into they won't renew the contract, and if they do, they're going to charge an arm and a leg. Do you know what that
Yes.
means the con has to do? They then have to charge you an arm and a leg to get tickets into the convention.
And a big thing I will say too, as far as being considerate in general, is if you see someone, I almost swore, if you see someone being an unreasonable, unruly attendant, you
Say
report
something.
them. Report them, not just to the hotel, because there's not much the hotel can do because they're guests, but tell the con staff, like, hey, there is a Naruto that is just hanging from the chandelier, and they oftentimes
Yeah.
they'll be like, you're kicked out of the con, because they can show the hotel that
Mhm.
they don't
That-
tolerate
that
that
action.
behavior.
We'll get rid of that, yeah.
So report them to con staff, but also like if you're in if you're in an elevator with your friend and you're seeing a couple other people like peel off the siding of the elevator, say something. Be like, hey guys, don't do that. That's kind of a jerk move.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, don't do it if you don't feel safe. But if you're in a position where you feel safe and you can do that,
If they are 14-year-old hooligans and you are 6 feet tall like me,
yeah, like
just
Use
say,
your giant status.
use your giant size and say, the con has to pay for that damage, right? And they'll go,
And and often they'll giggle and be idiot teenagers, but like,
pull your phone out and take a picture.
yeah, take a picture. Take a picture of them and post it to the group of that's the con, and so that it's there, and just
Yep.
be like, these people were doing this, and honestly, nothing teaches a better lesson than someone to make an example of.
public
So
shaming.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
need to as a
Shame
community, we need to like this has just been happening so much more
So
at conventions
much.
recently, but like we kind of have to make a stand and
Be
stay
decent
strong
humans
about being good to the places that are putting us up.
Yeah.
They're allowing themselves to host something with thousands of people, that many of which are, screaming and acting unruly and just crazy people because we're all having a good time. But like, if you are actually damaging their venue, it's not worth it for them to have to fix all that. The revenue you bring into their space is not worth it.
Mhm.
And eventually there comes a point where there is no place that will host the event.
Yep. And that's a really good way to kill something that you love.
Yep.
So, how are we doing on topic?
Well, I think we're doing good. I think that really wraps up the...
That was a
like...
heavy end.
It is, yes.
We have-
Well, we're going to do horror stories.
Okay,
So
let's do
we
some
are gonna do
happies.
horror
Oh, I didn't
stories.
think about a
I
horror
didn't think
story.
about
That's okay.
11 years between you.
I got some that are actually
Between
kind of on
us.
topic.
But I'm going to do a quick summary really
Okay,
quick.
okay.
So summary, get a hotel that has breakfast.
Yes.
If you can.
if you can.
Food is key.
Communicate with your roommates and roommates to be. Like, talk ahead of time, what are expectations, all that. Be nice to your hotel, be nice to the staff, be nice to everybody.
Be nice to each other.
Be nice
Consider
to
it.
each other. Yes, be considerate.
Be a polite person.
Yes.
Act like you are a guest. Not just with, sorry, not to interrupt you,
Mhm.
not just
Yeah,
with the
you're good.
hotel, but like the people you are rooming with.
Yes.
It helps to pretend that you are sleeping over at their house.
Mhm.
Yes.
So just act
Yeah.
like you're a guest.
Be polite and, just be aware of what's going to be happening and all that.
And what you all want out of the
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, don't stink up the bathroom. And if you do bring some
use the lobby bathroom.
Be aware of what you're bringing.
Be
and what
Power
you're making.
strips.
Be prepared
Yes.
to tip.
Yeah.
Be prepared to tip.
Yeah.
So
All right, our cosplay horror stories. So I thought, since you guys need some time to
Yeah,
think,
what do I do?
I'll start off with Chubby Bunny Cosplays. She sent in a couple horror stories, so I'm going to start with I'm going to use one of them for this time. Save them for later. But the first one she's got is this one happened just last weekend. Just the last weekend of February. I was working on my Toadette cosplay, and it's quick change to Peachette.
Cute.
It's super cute. I've seen the video. I love it. It had started. I had started it a couple months back to give myself wiggle room with trying some new techniques. I had about 3 weeks left and needed to finish/start the wig and hat. I knew I had to wait for the hat last between finishing the crown first and figuring out how to hide the hair. Well, I was also on a budget crunch, and I did wig styling before, so especially one with obscure shapes in it. She's got pigtails that have sets of spheres in each.
True.
Fear of buying a new wig and ruining it, I practiced on an old blonde wig I had from my old Mewberry cosplay. Let's just say the technique I practiced was not at all working, leaving me with a pile of cut-up hair and hot glue everywhere. At this point, I had less than a week till ZipCon and no money or time to buy a new wig. And I still hadn't started on that hat. Thankfully, I had a second long blonde wig in my closet, and it started coming out much better with different attempts. But I soon remembered why I didn't wear that wig. It was just a tad too tight, and now, being styled, it was obvious where my real hair started. Now, it was midnight, and I had to figure out how to keep this on my head. I remembered using a glue stick to hold down sideburns and make my wigs look more natural. Turns out, gluing my wig to my real hair to hide it worked really well. But dang, there's a reason you don't glue things to your hair.
Let the glue, like I'm going to say with my glue tip, you have to let the glue dry before you put anything on top of it, or you will glue yourself to whatever you're putting on top of it, and you will have a bad time.
So
Like
here,
Chubby Bunny.
So here I am at midnight in my sewing room, trying to get this wig off my head without damaging what I salvaged and not rip my own hair out. Thankfully, warm water does the trick, and I was still able to get everything done before driving down to the con. I remembered to take makeup remover wipes so that I could take the wig off there, and I somehow still managed to win an award for Best Walk-On for Craftsmanship. I'm including a link below for... Oh, sorry. Yeah, she's got a link for the video if you guys want to see it, and I am going to link it because it's super, super cute.
Sounds super cute. I want to see it.
But yeah, so gluing things to your head. You can use glue to shape your hair, but don't use it to glue things to your head because that could be really, really traumatic. And luckily,
Can it?
Glues
yeah.
things to things.
Luckily, warm water is a good way of getting it out. I wouldn't use like really, really strong glues on your hair.
Elmer's glue.
Elmer's glue, but not the
Not
the
glue all.
Not glue
And
all.
not glitter glue
Yeah.
for other reasons.
If we've learned anything here, it's never use glue all.
I mean, not on your hair. It's fantastic for other things. So I have a cosplay horror story that's
All right.
related to the terrible Steel Samurai incident where I was the worst roommate in the world. So that costume was a hot mess. That might be fun to like revisit and make better, because it can only get better. So I mentioned I was crafting in the hotel room, and one of the things I was working on was the mask for the Steel Samurai. And the only base mask I could find was a half mask that went like about nose level across your face. So I had to put the bottom on, and all I had was craft foam and hot glue. So I needed to make sure it would fit. So I was like putting pieces on and trying it on and putting pieces on and trying it on. Well, one of the last times that I tried it on, I had just put high temp hot glue on the inside.
I thought this is where this was going.
And I stuck it to my face. And just all right here on my cheek, like all underneath my eye, was just like scald. And so I'm holding this to my face, and I was like, I don't want to rip it off. It was like, it's dried.
It'll make it worse.
This is gonna hurt, because I had felt it blister. Like, so I was just like, it's part of my skin right now.
It's part of my skin now.
So I did rip it off. And, like, I looked inside the mask and I was like, there's part of me in this costume. So that was terrible.
Oh, no.
I'm going to... So that was the one I thought of. But talking about that reminds me of everything else that went wrong with the Steel Samurai. So I also did open binding for the first time at that con.
That can be rough.
And the first day I did it was great. Second day I did it for the Steel Samurai, which I really didn't need to because I had a muscle suit for him. It was an Incredible Hulk suit that I butchered.
That's amazing.
So I had a muscle suit on underneath it, but I did it anyway because it looked good. I used duct tape, sports tape and duct tape. Now, it sounds bad. Like everyone's like, oh, the duct tape will rip you. No. What happened was I didn't smooth it. So everywhere there was a crease in this tape, there was friction. And so when I ripped it off, it was another instance of ripping open a blister. So I just had, like, it looked like someone had taken a knife and just dragged it down my chest. So I was just like, this is fine. And then, and then still Steel Samurai.
Oh, this thing is
so that was for
ripped
judging.
You apart.
Yeah,
oh,
it was awful. So that was for judging. I had to put the whole thing on for judging, experience the like ripping and just the gluing to my face, and then I had to put it back on for the masquerade the next day. So I had to tape my poor ripped chest again. Luckily I didn't hurt my face again. But because I didn't know what I was doing, the hakama for the Steel Samurai was just like a pair of really loose pants that I didn't account for shapewear, on that had a tie waistband. And then I would just wrap fabric around that to make the knot. And then I would pin it to my Hulk suit. And so the way I kept the suit on, this was so embarrassing. The way I kept the suit on was I had put this really like, silvery fabric down to like my abdomen, and then sewed it down, and then the rest was still like the green and purple Incredible Hulk like part.
No.
And I didn't get rid of it, and I just it was like a leotard. It kept everything in place. It was great. And then I would pin stuff to that. Well, I was walking the convention floor, and I had no way to tell that my pants had slipped off.
Oh, no!
And that my, the stuff I'd wrapped around my waist was falling off. So it's just me as the Steel Samurai with this, like, bikini bottom, like, Incredible Hulk, like...
Steel Samurai sporting it.
Everything about that costume was horrific.
Oh no!
So that was my experience. That's my 3-part horror story that ties into when I was a terrible roommate. So it all wasn't even worth it. Karma got me fast.
It took you down immediately.
It took me down immediately.
It's like nope.
Nope.
I can't really.
You can talk about swearing because that's a consideration. Don't actually give the example verbally, though.
So we don't room with many people. Like we mentioned earlier, Kame and I tend to just get rooms to ourselves. There's one group that we will room with just because it's a fun group, and we get a big enough room that it's not a stuffed room, and it's great. And we do this at ALA. One of our friends who we room with doesn't love swearing, and anyone who knows me knows I have such a hard time with that. I try to control my language. It doesn't always work. So there,
Accurate.
so this comes down to knowing your roommates and knowing what they're comfortable with. And I would
doing your best. That's the thing.
I do. And that's the thing is you got to do your best. And if your friends are doing their best, know that they're doing their best. And give them...
They're making an effort, and be patient with them.
So last night of the con, a lot of people, like, you're all hanging out with your friends. The con's over. You're kind of just talking about what's going on. I don't even remember what we were talking about, but I was like,
She started
swearing, and then I thought I had changed the word fast enough to a different word,
but
I finished the first word and then added the rest of the second word.
So it was fudge with an extra syllable.
It was fudge with a K in there.
And it was this moment of like, we saw her trying, but she didn't understand that the core of changing it is not saying it.
Yeah.
Like it's to remove it from conversation, not make it charming.
That's not really that's not really like a con horror story, but it is like it was quite embarrassing, and I'm lucky that my friend did realize I was trying, and she thought it was hilarious. And that will live down in history forever.
Hearing about it later was really hilarious.
Right. So just
teamy.
be aware of your friends and
comfort levels
and what they're comfortable with.
And yeah. I was just thinking about times where we're like, we're going to be playing a game, and I hope you're comfortable with the game we're playing, like on the TV. Like we brought our like PS4, so that's a thing. Like not to interrupt your horror story, but like if someone's like, I'm not comfortable with that content, that's why you want to make sure that they're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And if that content is the content of your mouth, you need to be aware
Fix
of
that
that.
I take that with me everywhere I go. So,
horrify us.
I'm not good at horror. Okay, so here's the thing, because like I don't look back on things and go, oh wow, that was horrifying. I'm just like, well, that happened, and I learned from that and move on, And so I forget.
It doesn't have to be.
I guess so.
Horrifying.
It's the same reason why I'm not good at like grudges, because like I just go, oh okay, and we move on, and it's over. Like,
and it literally leaves your brain. I can attest to this.
Like seriously, like an hour later, someone will be like, oh, this thing, and I'm like, oh, that happened. Oh, okay. Like I just don't. And so it's hard to think of what's actually horrifying. And some things I'm like, oh, it's fine. And then I tell other people, they're like, wow, that's horrifying. I'm like, is it?
You break a lot.
I do break a lot. I'm a very loosely strung together human being. My knees started dislocating when I was 10, and I just relocate them. I just put them back together. But I usually have to ice them. The last time it happened, my knee dislocated and I broke my foot at the same time in heels, and it was terrible because I was at a work conference.
That was a convention. It just wasn't a cosplay
I guess
convention.
That's true. It's not, but yeah. It's not cosplay specific. It was pretty horrifying because it was the first day of this work event, and I was very broken. I thought I was sprained, and everyone I sent the picture to was like, "Is that actually what your foot looks like right now?" Yeah, it is. They're like, "That's not a foot."
You sent me the picture, and I was like, "That's broken."
Yeah, it was very broken. I broke 2 bones in my foot all the way through, so that was terrible. But cosplay specific. Okay, so this is not roommate related. As far as like rooming with a thing.
That is okay.
So I have giant costumes. I wear giant costumes. I'm a giant costume adventure person.
I am a giant costume.
I am a giant costume. Little do you know,
Your
she is being piloted like a mech.
I am just like...
Oh my.
Shocking
Melissa
reveal
is
on
a Gundam.
the Stitch and Seam podcast. Garnet Runestar is a Gundam. All right.
Zero mode activated.
Zero mode, yeah. I mean, I joke about that, but I do kind of live that life occasionally. Okay, so what the story is, though, is that so I was it last year? The year before. Whatever year it was. I've been scrolling through my Instagram trying to remember things I've done. I made a costume that was a dream costume of mine, which was Vampire Hunter D's the Bloody Countess Carmilla, and she is a Benegol costume forever, just wanted to do it, and I just was not, I didn't feel like I had the skills to really attempt it, because there's a lot of crazy, like, gravity-defying things that happen in that costume.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's like, it's exceptionally crazy structured to hold the girls up, as it were. And it's all very, very intensely structured. And the same thing with like the shoulder bits and the hip bits. It's basically armor made out of fabric. So it's
And then it has to look like liquid too.
It does. It's a blood train, yeah. So I made this costume and I was super pleased with it. And we went to go do a photo shoot of it. And, got it all on. I was super excited because, like, everything was locked in place. Everything felt very sturdy and very solid, which was incredible because the whole front of this costume is nothing. It's just blank. It's just boobs.
It's open.
It's Cleveland. It's just Cleveland. So, and we were like doing this shoot. We were super pumped. We got all dressed at the Capitol building in Salt Lake, which is a beautiful, huge marble structure. And everything looks lovely there. We're doing our shoot, and I'm super tightly laced into this corset. And I've been corseting for 11 years. So this isn't a new experience for me. But this costume is the heaviest single costume I have ever worn. And that is a lot.
I was going to say
lot.
something because usually they're hundreds of pounds, aren't they?
Well, not hundreds of pounds, no. Hundreds of yards of fabric.
Oh, that's right.
But not pounds. In fact, I shipped this last November. I went to France, represented the United States for the Art to Play Before Christmas Cosplay, which is a little international solos competition thing. And I flew Carmilla to France, and I didn't think I would ever be able to. But she literally took 2 full checked bags and 2 carry-ons to get her there. The only reason I had any clothing was because I sandwiched between armor pieces. I was like, I only need clothes for a weekend. But it's a very heavy costume. And I didn't think about that. I was like, oh, it's fine. I've worn giant things before. And we're doing all this shoot stuff. We're about halfway through. And I started to feel a little faint. And I was like, oh, it's okay. I'll just kind of I've been standing for a little bit. I'm just kind of going to, crouch down and give my self a break. And I was like, okay, doing okay. And I stood up again because I was like, okay, yeah, ready for the shot. And I saw sparkles in front of my eyes.
Whoa.
And I was like, okay, we're doing okay. And they're
sparkles are fun. Sparkles are
great.
pretty.
I love sparkles. Sparkles are great. So
You're turning into a magical girl.
I imagine it's transformation. It's happening.
Finally, my time has come.
It's here. I've prepared for this my whole life. So they were like, okay, let's switch positions. So they move me another place, and there's in this building, on both sides of the building, there is this big giant grand staircase that splits up into 2 other staircases that go into the next level. And so I'm standing at the top of one of those staircases, and I realize that I'm about to lose control of my legs, and I lean forward and I crouch in this giant costume, and the photographer is instantly like, uh-oh. And I just I remember sitting on the edge of this staircase and losing control of all of my limbs. And I started slurping over and sliding down the staircase a little bit. Sadie was there. I'm actually pretty sure that I didn't die because Sadie was there. And I just everything, my lips went cold, my body was shutting down. And so Sadie comes over and just starts whipping this corset off. She is unlacing the dress, she is unlacing the corset like a champion right there publicly in front of the cameras and the Capitol building and everyone that has come to see the Capitol building that weekend. It's just time to bear it all. And I just kind of sit there shell-shocked. I literally, my body was going into shock. And so she's like, what do we need? And I'm like, I can barely speak. So she runs, gets me water, gets a granola bar because Sadie is an amazing cosplay handler.
She is. She's the best
and
cosplay
starts
handler.
Feeding me pieces of granola bar and making me drink water. And I sit there for a good 15 minutes while my body re-regulates itself. Kind of got settled and felt a little better, and we laced me back up and finished the shoot. And it was kind of one of those I don't know what to call it, but self-realization moments where I was like, I've been doing this for so long, but that doesn't mean that I can't still make mistakes. I can't still do things that are detrimental to my health. I can still make stupid decisions. And that's not to say that that costume was a stupid decision, because it wasn't. But what the stupid decision was the lead up to actually wearing it. I'd pulled an all-nighter. I'd been sleeping very little the week leading up to this because there was a photographer coming specifically for this shoot over this weekend. It had to happen. I hadn't been eating because I'm really good at just not eating. And then I tight-laced myself into a corset and wore a 50-pound garment. So all of those things together leads up to you feel like you're okay until suddenly you are not okay. So, take care of yourself. Take care of your friends.
And also, big thing to mention on that is if you start seeing sparkles, if your vision goes black, tell the people.
Tell people.
Say
Yes.
someone unlaced me. I'm not okay.
Yep.
That's a thing. Like
It's okay to take breaks.
It is absolutely.
and communicate. Like a lot of people will be like, I didn't want to. Like I actually had a friend who legit passed out backstage, and that is more inconvenient
Mhm.
than like grabbing someone who's in
Yep.
charge of the cosplay contest and being like, I'm going to faint. I need you
Yeah.
to rip me out of this.
Well, and I was just trying to
So-
power through it because I was like, oh, I can handle this. I'm fine. Like, this isn't my first time corseting. I wear big dresses all the time. I'm good. I got this. And yeah, just straight up
If you're not
passed
okay,
out on the Capitol stairs.
yeah, like
Like-
if you're not okay, tell the people.
Yeah, seriously. Like, I'm pretty sure whoever was doing the security at that building had a very interesting view because it started with me just starfishing on the staircase, surrounded by red fabric.
And they're like, is she posing? Is
that-
she dead?
Did we want that to happen? I don't know if we wanted
on
that to
purpose?
Yeah, like it's a thing. Like I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of people like actually hurt themselves and damage
Mhm.
themselves because and a lot of them were like, it hurts, but I didn't want to bother anyone, or it
Yep.
hurts, but I wanted to power through. But like there's a
Yep.
moment where like you're like, okay, the shoot is great. You've probably gotten 3. Like, okay, perfect example. I know we're supposed to be done. I wore a costume and I was literally melting out of it. I got 1 picture of it, but at least I didn't die of heat stroke.
Mm-hmm.
I did steampunk Celti, like a steampunk version of Celti from Durarara in the middle of the summer, or right when the summer was beginning. It was couch leather on like layers and layers
Whoa.
of black, a
Fur.
helmet, like fur. It was a bomber jacket.
Whoa.
And I knew I wasn't going to be okay. So I have 1 picture and I don't know where it is. I worked really hard on that costume, but I was like, I can't die. Like it's not
Yeah.
worth it to die. So you don't wait till you pass out. That's worse.
Mhm.
That's worse.
Yep.
And you can always put the costume back on.
Mhm.
If you're like, never mind, I was being a wimp.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but it's better to be like, sorry, I was a wimp, than like an ambulance has to be called.
Yeah.
It just
So.
just take care of your body. I even so many years later, I should know better, and yet here we are. So
Lack of self-care is the true cosplay horror.
it is
story.
though. Let's be honest.
I was gonna say we're all, I guess,
Oh.
fierce mama cosplayers, and that like everything turns into like, take care of yourself, children.
Yeah.
Don't make our mistakes.
Huh.
Don't
Yeah.
live like us.
Well, I think that's the episode. Thank you guys so much
Yay.
for being on here.
Thanks
No
for
problem.
inviting us. It was fun.
It was fun.
I'm
It's
so
always
glad
fun.
to have you guys on again.
Yeah.
Always happy to come back.
I'm telling you, there's cats here, so I will come back anytime I can pet those cats.
David has 4 cats, and it's awesome.
They're so cute.
They're so cute.
I'm not allowed to have cats in my apartment, and I desperately need cats.
You can come
So,
over any time that you like.
ooh.
We gotta pet the
Well,
cats.
when I'm home.
It's like
Melissa's like
you
shimmying
all heard
the,
it.
like,
Open
window
invitation.
You just come home one day, and I'm just in your living room, surrounded by all the cats, and I'm like, you told me I could come
She
here.
like freezes.
What are you talking about? They heard none of that.
It's true. Mysterious voice. I'm hallucinating. You need water, clearly.
Take care of yourself,
Take
friends.
care of yourself.
Take care of yourself.
So you don't hallucinate the editor speaking to you.
Music by Macy Roberts and sound editing by the talented David Jeffress of Dungeons and Chill and Comic Trades Monthly. And his pen always ends with a pun, and I'm trying to think of one I've been trying to think of the whole time.
Oh my gosh, let me think.
So in honor of Pannon's puns, make sure that if you're staying at a hotel with friends, it's not a hostel situation.
Ah.